A deeper look at one of this month's images. Cross-blending two photographs to retain that impressive sky and keep the detail in the shadows. And right at the end, a quick look at the impressive new features in Lightroom. So hello, October has been a bit of a frustrating month for me really. I think I ended last month's vlog saying how much I was looking forward to sort of getting into October and getting into autumn and getting back into some real good photography. But it's just not worked out that way. October's been so frustrating. There have been multiple setbacks. Various things happening, not happening, expectations not achieved in various sort of ways. It's either been the weather or it's been I've not been available to get out and shoot when I needed to. But also for me, when these things start to happen, a little bit of lethargy breaks in, a little bit of laziness creeps in, a little bit of what's the point, it's only going to go wrong. And landscape photography can be a little bit like that. Sometimes you just need a little bit of patience, a little bit of luck for everything to align so you can achieve the photographs that you want to achieve. So the last couple of weekends, well not really the last couple, but certainly the last I had at home when I was available to go out shooting, have really been kind of a no-show for my photography. It's either been because of the weather or because I had some other plans or something else sorted out to do. And sometimes life just gets in the way of landscape photography and it doesn't align. It's difficult when you're trying to do it not full time, but when you have a narrow windows of opportunity to try and get out and create images and create content for the channel. But I'm hoping over the next week or so I should be able to pull together some other images. You see, I went away on a canal boat holiday, which is something really quite different for me, and certainly photographically it was a big challenge. I didn't take as many photographs as I'd hoped, and if I was going to do it again I think I would have to put a lot more planning and a lot more thought into how I was going to do it. But something I find really quite often is that if I'm attempting a new subject or something which is completely out of my comfort zone, then I really do struggle to be able to find where I'm going to go with things and how I'm going to sort it out. But something I have had to do this month is to remember that with landscape photography, you just have to be patient. And that's something which I want to make the theme of this talk, this end of month video. You see, I've had to exercise quite a bit of patience with my photography this month, whether it's been waiting for the light, waiting for the weather conditions, waiting for an opportunity to go out. And now that we're deep into autumn, I will start moaning about the lack of autumn colour, but I'm hoping with a little bit of luck and patience and keeping my fingers crossed that maybe that won't be such a problem. So what have I actually achieved this month? Well, with a little bit of patience and waiting around for the sky to change on a recent shoot at Brentor Church, I took a few pictures that I actually quite liked. And I used a method called exposure blending to create my final image. Now the original video, this one here, I'll put it up on the screen for you, was all about using the histogram. So if you haven't followed my exposure series, go and check that one out, you might find it useful. But I thought what I would do today is explain to you how my final image was created by blending two images together. And there's a little bit of a bonus at the end, something to do with something which Adobe have changed since I planned this video. Something which I think in the future is going to make my workflow much faster and may help you as well. So stick around for that. So with the new masking features, which are now part of Lightroom and Photoshop, I guess this video is either very well timed or very badly timed, depending how you look at it. Because what I'm about to show you really can be achieved in a much easier way now, up to a point. But this video and the content in it is just as relevant as always, because what we're doing in this video is combining two separate images together to create one composite image. Now I guess that idea can also be considered to be a little bit controversial, because depending on your own view on what is proper landscape photography and what is digital art, or where those boundaries sort of lie, you may be for or against combining images. So let's talk about the rules that I set for myself and how those apply to my landscape photography. So basically what I do is I think about capturing the landscape as it is before me in that moment. So I guess any kind of composite image goes against that to a certain degree. But let's be realistic about this. People have been doctoring images since the beginning of photography, with dodging and burning in the darkroom. What I'm doing here is I'm combining an image of the sky and an image of the land taken within seconds or minutes of each other. All I've done is change the exposure slightly so that I can bring out more detail in the sky. I could have achieved this in camera by using a graduated filter. But in this particular instance, had I done that, it would also have darkened down the subject as well, which is Brentor Church. And I didn't want to do that. So I'm choosing to combine two exposures together to create one composite. So let's have a look now on the screen how I actually achieve that. And then I'm going to show you right towards the end how you could achieve a similar effect with one image all inside of Lightroom with the new masking feature. Okay, so here we are open up in Lightroom again. So it's a normal sort of Lightroom screen. When we go into the develop module, it will look slightly different to the versions that we've used previously because of their upgrade, but we're not going to worry about that too much in this video. So as always, I've pre-selected the images which we're going to use for this work. So the ones which I'm actually going to use are highlighted in green, and we'll just select those two in a minute. In fact, we can do it now. So I'm going to make those a little bit bigger just so we can get them both up on the screen and explain why I've picked these. So the two images which I've picked are basically one on the left hand side of the screen shows the detail that we want in the rocks and the lighting that we've got on there, and the one on the right retains the detail in the sky. And what I want to do is I want to combine both of those images together inside of Photoshop. So what I've actually done to these pictures, if we go into the develop module, is I've done a little bit of work on them, but not a huge amount. If you have a look on the right hand side of the screen, all I've actually done is increase the exposure slightly. And the reason that I've done that is just to bring out a little bit more detail in some of those shadow areas and some of the ground itself. So that's the first image, that's my base picture. The other image which I want to look at, if we go back into the library, and open that one up in develop as well, you'll see I've done a little bit more work on it. I've actually increased the overall exposure, but at the same time I've dropped the highlights and I've dropped the whites to try and retain some more detail inside of this sky area, because it's that burnout that I'm really worried about in that large contrast range. And by taking two different exposures and modifying them, I can actually combine those then later on inside of Photoshop, which is what we're going to do now. So let me open up Photoshop for you. Okay, so here we are inside of Photoshop. This is actually the updated version of Photoshop, and I've just got it opened up with its standard panels on it, so it'll look very similar to your screen if you just reset it. Now the thing that we need to do first of all is to bring both of the layers into Photoshop. And the way that I did that, inside of Lightroom, there's a feature where you can select both of the images, right click, and then you can open as layers in Photoshop, and that's what I've done. I guess really I should have gone back and shown you how to do that, so sorry. If you want some more information on that, then please put it in the comments and I'll correct that error for you. So once they're opened inside of Photoshop as separate layers, you want to make sure that those layers actually line up. So if we just shift click both of those and then go up to edit, auto align layers, it'll just line up those layers for me. I don't have to worry about any of these other things. I can just put down auto on there and go click auto align layers. And what it will do then is it will just line both of those up for me, and I know then they're perfectly aligned one on top of the other. And the reason I want to do that is so that when I go to the next stage, I don't get any sort of ghosting or any edges which are not working really well. Now, one of the new features that we've got inside of Photoshop and is being introduced now into Lightroom as well is with these selections. So we're able to actually go into our select, and we have an option up here. Do that again. So we have an option up here where we can select a color range, a focus area, the subject, or the sky, and that is really quite powerful. And this is what they've added to Lightroom, and I'm going to show you that just at the end quickly anyway. But if we click on sky, it'll go away and think about it for a little bit, and it'll come up with a selection just of the sky. And it's done a relatively good job really when it's done that. It has picked up just down here, it's picked up a little bit of the background hills as well, and I'm actually not going to worry about it too much for this. I'm going to go with the selection. If you have more time, you could obviously refine it by using other manual selection methods and really looking at changing how you were going to set up this image yourself and how you were going to change it, but we're not going to do that. The next thing I want to do is I want to actually remember that what I want to do is I want to bring through the information from behind one of these layers. And this is where this trick comes in, and it's really quite easy to do. So we can go into layer mask, and we can either select a layer which is going to reveal everything, or we're going to select a layer where it's going to hide everything. And you can decide how you do that. If we click on reveal all, it allows everything to come through, and you'll see a white mask down there, and it's made no change whatsoever. So let's just get rid of that. So on the other layers, we can go into layer, and we can go reveal selection, hide selection. We're going to go reveal selection, and that actually allows us to keep that selection on top. So it's revealing the selection but hiding everything else. So when I did that, you may have noticed that everything below has just suddenly got lighter. Let me just switch that off again, look. So when we switch that sky off, you're seeing everything from below. And when we switch it back on, it's revealing the sky and hiding the foreground. And that's all there is to it. You've also got the ability to actually adjust this with a slider. So we could actually change the effect. If you felt that you wanted a more subtle sky, you could actually bring it down in the opacity and change it on there. And that's how it does it. You could play with the blend modes if you wanted to. You could go into, well, I'm only going to have it where it darkens. So anything where it's lighter, it's not going to influence it. I normally just leave it on normal. And that's how I deal with combining exposure blending and bringing a different sky in, taken at the same time. Now I just wanted to go back into Lightroom, so I've opened Lightroom up again and I've picked up another image, and I just wanted to show you very, very quickly one of the new features which has come out in the latest release of Lightroom. And it's here where we've got this mask tool up the top, and rather than have the traditional sort of selection tools available, if we click on masking, it still gives us our linear gradients, our radial, color range, luminance, and all the others. But we've also got at the top of here, select subject and select sky. So the selection part that we did inside of Photoshop, we can actually do directly inside of Lightroom now. So let's click on select sky. Once again, it goes away and does its thinking thing, and it comes up with this mask. Now what we can do with this, if we want to, is we can actually invert that mask as well. So if we actually go to, if we click on sky, invert, we then select the foreground. And then what we can do, if we turn off the overlay, we can go into it and we can lighten the foreground and get a very, very similar effect as we did before in the Photoshop version. Now that's something that's come up since I decided to actually show this video, so I thought I'd put it in really, really quickly at the end. If you would like to find out a bit more about how those masks work, then please let me know, and as I play with them, learn them, and incorporate them into my landscape photography workflow, I'll go through in some more details with you, maybe in my next end of month video, how to use these masking features inside. So really that's all I wanted to do today. It's been a little bit of a different video. Like I say, I've not had so much content this month to show you guys, so I hope I've redeemed myself by showing you something with a little bit of interest at the end of the month. And I've got some plans. I'm going to go away and edit my photographs now for my canal boat holiday. There's not many, but there's certainly a video there to be put together, and with a bit of luck that'll all come out really, really well. And you'll get something from that at the end of the month. I'm also hoping that it's not too late for me to get out and enjoy some of the autumn mornings and evenings and get some more content for you. So until next time, go out yourselves, enjoy your own photography. Please ask as many questions as you want to, and I'll see you in the next video.